Hello, my friends. Welcome to another live stream. This is Carrie, and I'm Rachel, and I have baby on my lap, and she is saying hello.
Let's be clear, baby is a cat.
Baby is a cat. Yeah. I know. I once told my dad, like, oh, Eric and I are expanding the family. And of course, he's going to think that means I'm having an actual human baby, but no, I meant a cat. So yeah, I have a bad, actually, Eric and I were talking about baby a long time ago at a checkout, just like, we were buying some food. And the checkout lady was like, oh, how old is your baby? We were like, oh, she's 6.
That actually reminds me, my brother, when we're just going to dive into talking about whatever we're talking about. My brother, when we were growing up, his best friend, they were a great big family. They had 5 or 6 kids. And the youngest kid, they just called baby. And they called her baby until she was like 11, you know? And everyone was like, oh, where's baby? Oh, baby went here. And no one thought that was weird. So
you just get used to it. Anyway, I only have fur babies and I love them very much. They are not afraid of being seen, but you might be afraid of being seen. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm a coach, so is Carrie, and we get this a lot. People thinking that the reason they're not, going on social media is because they're afraid of being seen, or they've actually got a real big fear of being criticized. And this can stem from a lot of different things, like being told you're too much as a kid. I know Carrie has a very unfortunate story about that. Wanting to please our parents by staying nice and obedient and small and, compliant. There's so many things. I have a story from when my best friend of all time, the person I probably looked up to the most when I was younger, we hung out all the time. And I did something one day where I was too much for her and she got really mad at me. And so these things, they do have an impact. And if we continue to remember them and go back to them, they can have a large impact on our current life. The good news is there's ways around that. And we're going to talk about that. But if you feel like you've ever suffered from fear of being too much, fear of being seen, fear of being criticized, then stick around because it's going to be a good one.
Well, yeah, so I'm excited to talk about this. And I'm actually really curious, Rachel, where this idea came from. Like this fear of being seen. When you were talking about it, is it because, we work with people who are afraid to put their work out on social media, or was it more just actual fear of people seeing me for who I am?
I just thought about it because, every week I come up with a topic for this, unless it's Intimate Alien who tells me her topic. And I don't know. I just felt like even for me, a lot of people see me as being very expressive, very willing to share, very open book, which I am, and I'm very happy to be. But there's also things where I'm a little afraid to share. So I have been making a lot of friends in my local area who are belief wise, very different from me, but who I get along with well, of course. But here I am now posting all these things on my Instagram where they can see them. Like my last Substack post was, I'm not human and I don't have a soul. Like I'm saying these things kind of tongue in cheek, and I explain it in my article, of course, but there's a little hesitation there to put that out there, even though that's what I want to do. And so it's a really normal thing to just be concerned about what other people will think about you. I think that's pretty universal,
Well, I do too. And that's why I was asking, is because I'm in the same boat. I'm in the exact same boat as you, right? You and I get on here weekly. I think many people who know me would say, Carrie, you don't have a fear of being seen, right? Like you always show up as your whole self. And while I strive to do that, that's also not true, right? There's there's lots of things that like it's easy for me to encourage other people to do and not do myself. And one of those things is, so it's when you said seen, the sort of like trigger word for me is visibility. And so I think of this in terms of like someone who's building a business. That's why I was asking, like building a brand, building your personal brand, which actually in today's day and age, like we're all doing that. Every last one of us, if we have any sort of presence online, whether that's a YouTube channel or just your personal social media, you have a personal brand, right? That personal brand is just what other people think of you when they experience your stuff. And it's funny how when we have something professional to offer, your coaching services, your photography services, your art that you sell, right? When you have something professional that accompanies you, like it isn't you, it's just part of what you do in the world. It can really mess with how you show up, right? It can mess with your like wanting to be seen. And likewise, Rachel, I think that's exactly what you're talking about when you're like, yeah, I mean, I have like my online, my online people, but then now my real people are going to like, worlds are colliding. And I don't know if I want to be seen that way. And I just want to say, I get it. And I'm the same. I'm totally the same. And I often hide for great lengths of time. And then I just come out like guns blazing. But
Yeah, and I think, it's a normal feeling, but if we can get to the point where we get over it and come out and be ourselves and be normal, you will find that the backlash that you created in your head, it doesn't really exist. At least for me, my experience, I know that is not true for every single person, and it is still applicable to the law of attraction, right? But when I was coming out first as intimate alien, I was like, my grandpa's going to disown me. Like, what's going to happen? I'm going to be channeling an alien. That was so weird to me at the time. Nothing bad happened. Everyone loved intimate alien. And even now, like, I am who I am, and I'm not shy about it. Even if I hesitate sometimes and I think about it, no one in my inner local circle has even batted an eye. Like my next door neighbor doesn't believe in the afterlife or psychics or anything like that. She loves intimate alien. Like she watched the daily alignment shows. So like we, I think, need to just give people more credit. We need to give ourselves more room to exist. I'm so big with that because we are here to play. We're here to exist. We're here to express. We're here to have room to spread out. And we can do that. It's really just up here that's holding us back. And the more we make a big deal about the world's not ready for me, I don't have a place in this world, right? Which I know is very common also in the neurodivergent community, feeling like on an even, more fundamental biological level, the world is not meant for me. I understand that. But we get to create the world that is ready for us, right? Like we're part of the experience here. Like we're the ones creating our own reality. And so we can think negatively and get negative results, or we can think positively and get positive results and really dig into the control we do have over our world. Like I want to have local friends of all different kinds, and I want to have online friends of all different kinds, and I want to be able to be myself in all the ways, because I'm not just strange, right? I'm also I just really like working out, and I just really like meeting friendly people, and I just really like blah blah blah, right? Like we are so multifaceted as people. We can't really reduce ourselves down to one thing or another.
Amen. And I'm just thinking about this like fear of being seen. So I guess if you're watching, like let us know in the comments if that resonates with you, if you've experienced this fear of being seen. Because my suspicion is exactly what you talked about in the beginning, Rachel, that a fear of being seen is not a fear of being seen for what you are, right? It's a fear of being judged for what you are. Like the fear of being visible. I think every time that I've been afraid to put something out there, um, I'm afraid it's not good enough. It's already been done. It's not unique or original. Nobody's going to want it. Or like so often I will put something out there and people are interested. They're like genuinely curious or they're asking questions. And I was like too insecure. Like I will deflect or I would, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, even when I've put something out there, I thought I wanted to be seen and people have actually seen me and been interested and excited. It's like I was not quite ready to receive, or there was a story in me that was still like, well, you're not good enough, well, no one's going to want it, well, you're not ready to succeed, or whatever that is. I don't know where the question is there now, I've lost it, but I guess let us know in the comments if this resonates with you. And then I mean, I feel like we talk about this all the time, but right, so the work there isn't show up more or write the perfect post or whatever. The work is align. When I say show up more, I guess I mean put more stuff out there. It's aligned to the truth of who you are.
Yeah, create your own paradise. And the more you can do that, the more comfortable you'll feel in yourself, right? And the less the opinions of others will matter. That is what I try to do. There is a whole book written on this quote from Maya Angelou that says something like belong nowhere and belong everywhere. And like that whole idea of like, don't cling so hard to the world and need their belonging, right? Because we're never really going to understand each other. We're never going to be able to rely on someone else for our sense of self-worth and place, right? And so that all comes from in here. You do belong everywhere and you do belong nowhere. So the more you can find your higher energy, your source, right? Your spirit team, even like that will give you a constant available stream of belonging and feeling centered and not judged. And that way you can sort of like go from inner to outer, which is how it works anyway, right? So building up that place, right? Your sense of place in the world. And then it's so much easier to just be excited about sharing what you want to share and being who you are in the world, looking how you want to look, acting, talking, producing things, right? It all comes from in here. And the more inwardly focused you are, the easier it is and the more natural it is to just send it on out. Like I am an expresser. That is just who I am. I've always wanted to just tell you every single little thing about me, and like there it is, right? This is going to sound a little bit weird, but I'm kind of fascinated by myself, right? Like I'm excited about who I am and all the little weird things that it seems a lot of people have a different experience. And I love that interchange. That's why I'm back in school right now. So I think that that's kind of fun, but you might not be. So I guess the other side of this fear of being seen is, are you just not a person who really wants to outwardly express, right? That's a possibility too. So you're only going to know that if you're really connected on the inside. I like telling everybody everything, but some people are just more inward, and that's okay too, right? So like if you are being hammered by a coach, which has happened, one of my former clients, she worked with me for 4 years, so it's not like, it was like a really amazing experience. But she came to me after her coach was like, you have to do this all on Instagram. You have to do it this way and that way. And she just felt like so overwhelmed. And that's not how it works either, right? There's no have to's in this world. It's what's going to make you happy. What are you wanting to do? But I do see a lot of people who want to share, who want to express, who want to be themselves, and think they either have to do it a certain specific way, or they're just afraid to be themselves because they don't want to be judged.
So being seen and visibility can be the same thing. They don't have to be. And so as you were talking, I was thinking about like being visible to me. I mean, when I was little, I wanted to like be invisible, like have that superpower to like go places and not be seen. But what I'm talking about when I say being visible, I think is like in our world of social media and like having some sort of online presence. That's what I mean with being visible. Being seen, though, I feel like that is a basic human desire. We might not want to be out there for like everyone to look at, but I do think we all want to be seen, to be valued, to be appreciated for who we are, or at least to be understood, to be given compassion and consideration for all of our quirks and our unique way of being. I know that like when you were talking about your neurodivergent self, like I'm like recognizing how many of my little quirks are neurodivergent bits. But like I feel so seen when I can relate to somebody else who has to turn the radio down when they park. Like I feel so seen.
Yes. Or like slow down and turn down the music to look for like a street sign or something. Yes.
Yeah, like the music's too loud, I can't see. Like I feel seen when somebody else has that experience, when they're say that's not crazy, that's a real thing. Right? And um anyhow, so I guess I just want to clarify that is I do think we all want to be seen. And yet, for most of us, there's a little bit of fear around being judged for our unique, amazing, valuable self. And so, I guess if you're watching this and you have some sort of hang up about either being seen or being visible, I just want you to know that you are perfection and your unique, quirky, wonderful self is wonderful. It is wonderful, right? You started, Rachel, talking about like being afraid of being too much. And yeah, I was sort of told that as a kid, like, hey, you're a lot. Like, tone down the carry. Um, and while I appreciate like what those people were trying to do, they're trying to keep order, right? Like what I heard is like what makes you feel good and excited is too much for other people. You are too much. So dim your own light. And yet we can feel the strength and the power of our own light. And part of our journey, just as human beings, right, is to relax and remember the strength, like the strength and the power of our own light, and that we get to shine it. I remember when I met Rachel and I was like, thank God you're psychic. Tell me my purpose. And she was like, your purpose is to be yourself. And I was like, I want my money back. Like, I'm already myself. I wanted, I didn't really ask for my money back. But yeah, it's just it's a wild journey. And I got to tell you, Rachel, the thing that has made me really feel pretty damn or dang, either or, pretty dang good about being truly seen is going through your higher self class that we just did, which is all about what Rachel is always talking about, right? Connecting to those higher energies, connecting to the truth of who you are. Insecurities have disappeared. And so now the fear of being seen, I mean, I guess it comes down to this. I told you guys are going to watch me process. I told Rachel they're going to watch me process. It's like, I like who I am, right? Just like Rachel saying she finds herself pretty dang interesting. And when you like who you are, you're not afraid of what other people think.
Yeah, I've had enough experiences with like super fan love bombing and then reversal to understand that like we can't live off of the admiration of others, because if we're living off the admiration of others, then they're able to take it away, right? So I like to be very grounded and centered and love myself enough so that if someone else is shining love on me, amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's so lovely. But it doesn't change how I feel about myself, right? And so that way, when someone is sending me something other than that, it also doesn't change how I feel about myself. Now, maybe I'll consider it, right? Like, do I need to improve my communication skills or approach something differently, right? I'm always open to growing as a person, but I can't let how I feel about me depend on other people. So even with being seen and understood, right? That's a really powerful feeling to feel seen and understood. But it's also amazing to know that you can have that in one moment and just go back right to the other moment where you're like, oh no, they really don't get me, right? So again, see yourself, feel yourself, understand yourself to the best of your ability, which is not ever going to be 100% anyway. I really don't believe in understanding other people, right? We can try, of course, like we're invested in the people that we know and our friends and family, and we want to understand them. But if we're relying on other people for that to feel okay about ourselves, it's never going to be enough, right? And so I think I would second Carrie's sentiment here about meditating every day, right? Being guided into yourself is the most powerful thing you can do for this. Because the more comfortable you are in your own energy, which is what you get when you're meditating, the more comfortable you're going to be in the world. And it's not going to matter who sees or doesn't see you, or, who you're visible to or not visible to. I do have a desire to be very visible in the world, right? Like I'd love to be a best-selling author, have a TV show, something like that, but it's not how I determine my self-worth of whether I get that or not, And I think that is a powerful attraction place too, right? Because if you aren't missing anything, if you don't need something, it can find you, which is great.
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk to you about that. About me, because, but I feel like at one time I did have a desire to be highly visible in the world, to have. I always dreamt of having like an Oprah show type situation. And then it sort of evolved, and I wanted to have some sort of a Kardashian slash Chip and Joanna Gaines, like some sort of like reality, like the world could watch my life. I wanted that. And now I don't know that I actually do. And so it's interesting to just recognize that, like, maybe that inside of me came from a place of like wanting validation. And now I don't feel like I need that validation. I don't know. But so that's an interesting thing that's happening with me. I'm recognizing as the more I don't think I have a fear of being seen. anymore. I mean, I guess I'm sure I have something there, but I also don't know that I have the desire to be visible. I do want, there's like some very small circles that I would like, ooh, I would like some more recognition there. Um, but so am I just splitting hairs here talking about seen, visible, and recognition? Like, am I splitting hairs there? Or I guess I'm just sort of asking, what's up with that?
Well, I feel like the question really would be, am I holding myself back from anything? Right? So I would love more recognition in this circle. Am I holding myself back from adding to the conversation anywhere, from going there physically, and, like from reaching out when I'm feeling inspired to do so? And anyone can answer this question themselves. Am I holding myself back from posting on social media? Am I holding myself back around a certain topic? Right? Is there somewhere I'm hesitating to go, but I really want to go? So I ask myself that sometimes. And usually it's the place that is like on the most edge for me, but would also sort of be the most fun to dive into. Like I'm on the verge of doing a Substack post on gender because I love that topic. I'm so baffled by gender and feel like I have interesting things to say and add to the conversation. And I also just read a really interesting post thread on Reddit about it in the Autism in Women group where I'm like, yeah, they get me. Those people get me. So but it's also, I'm asking myself these questions. I'm hesitating. Does it really go with what I'm posting over there? Yes, it does, Rachel. It's what you added in your intro. And I'm lining up with it, right? So I don't want to do anything I'm resisting because that's no fun. So I just thought about it maybe yesterday or today. So it's not like a drawn out thing, but I'm getting into it. And so by the time I go and sit down at the computer, it's fun and easy and I'm enjoying it. So knowing where you're hesitating and lining up with what you actually want to do is possible. And that way you can accomplish it in an open, flowing way.
I really love the way you talked about that, where there's no, instead of pushing yourself to do it, once you figure it out, like, oh, okay, yes, this, right? Instead of like making yourself do it, you're allowing yourself to align with it. And I think that is that, that phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, it can be taken one of two ways, right? Like you are feeling the fear and doing it anyway, but you're not feeling the fear and forcing yourself to do it right now.
No. When has that ever worked? I mean, maybe sometimes, right? But I think the thing that differentiates it and what a lot of other people say is, where's your desire, right? Let desire build the momentum. Let desire pull you forward. Like there's no forcing in desire. When you force desire, oh, it squashes it, right? Think about sex, right? Like, you can't force yourself to do that and have fun and enjoy yourself. So I like to relax. I like to let things flow. I like the desire to build up and lead me. So I also am just vehemently opposed to forcing myself to do anything.
But what I like the question, like, I think my takeaway from this conversation, besides recognizing like, oh, my own growth and development and like ways that I think a big part of why I wanted to be so publicly visible in the past was be a little bit of afraid of being seen, like wanted to show up in a certain way, wanted to show up as an expert, like, and now I'm actually okay to be seen as who I am, which is expert in a lot of things and imbecile in a lot of other things. But the question that you ask is, am I holding myself back from anything? Such a great question. Such a great question, because immediately I got my answer. Like, oh shoot, I am. There's
Yeah.
that thing.
And then, right, again, like you're saying, it's not about like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, don't beat yourself up about it. Just knowing, oh, okay, I'm doing that, right? We already know there's reasons why, right? But it doesn't matter. So now the desire is going to lead you forward. Let it go. Let yourself dive into that topic and build the desire, right? Why do you feel like you're holding yourself back? Like, because it's probably something that you care about, right? You care about it. And it might feel a little bit weird to let other people judge it once it's out there. And so go back into yourself. I have this opinion. It doesn't matter what other people think. I'm just adding to the conversation. It's not the final word, right? So like soothe it all, right? It's not life or death. Nothing bad's going to happen, more than likely, right? So soothe it all. Let it be less high stakes, because it's really not. And then you can find the crack to move through.
Well, guys, we're at time. That went so fast.
I know. Well, this one image is coming to me. It's like, be the dandelion in the concrete, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you've always felt scared. It doesn't matter how big the fear has been for you, or, how cemented that part of your life is. There, you can always find the crack and grow up through that, right? So you don't need to get out the jackhammer or anything. Like, just find the easy way, right? That's what we're all about. Find the easy way.
All right, Rachel.
Well, this was fun. You guys, we're going to be launching an app soon. And the people in Higher Self just experienced it and had a really good time. So definitely keep in touch with us. Come back to our live streams. Go check out a free intuitive art class at intuitiveartclass.com. And we got some really great things coming this summer.
We do.
Yeah. All right, Carrie. Well, this was great. Thank you so much. We love all of you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.